Conservatism is resurging in America, but did you know that something similar is happening in Japan? And how is it approaching the increasing threat from China? Today on American Thought Leaders, we sit down with Jay Aeba, chairman of the Japanese Conservative Union, JCU, which is closely modeled after its American equivalent, the ACU. In this quick update, we discuss the priorities of conservatism in Japan, the China threat, and the plans for the upcoming annual Japanese CPAC. This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Jekielek. Jay, it's wonderful to have you back on American Thought Leaders.
Yeah, こちらこそありがとうございます。
So Jay, you're here just for a few days again. And so what brings you here? What exciting plans do you have?
はい、今年の8
At
月
the end of August, for the third time, we'll be co-hosting Jay CPAC in Japan with the ACU. I'm visiting this time for various presentations about this.
Fantastic. And so tell me a little bit about what is conservatism in Japan all about? And how is it different from in America?
とても大事な質問で
That's a
す。
very important question.
日本
As
に
you
は
know,
ご存知のように
Japan has a history that's more than 3,000 years old.
ですからその伝
To
統
protect the country's
の
traditional
国の
system
体制をしっかり
is
守
the
り抜く
most
というのはまず基
fundamental
本で
thing.
ありますけれども、ただ
However,
その歴史の
some
中で
aspects of these
世界との
traditions
関わ
are
りの
bound
中
to
で
change
当然
over the
様々
course of
変化してい
history
く部分
and
もあります。
interactions with the
その変
world.
化していくものの中で特に
I
アメリカ
found
の
in these
保守主義
aspects that have
コンサ
changed,
バティズムと
there are things in common with
共通
American
な点
conservatism
を私は
through many
ACU の
discussions with the chair
議長や
and
事
secretary
務局
at
長と
the
何回も何回
ACU.
も繰り返し話し合って共通点を見出しました。それを話していい
May
で
I
すか？
talk about that here?
I would love that.
まず一つ目は
The first point is
自由主義
that we love a free
自由主
economy.
義経済を愛しているということです。そして
Then
二つ目
the second
二
point
つ目は
is
民
that
主主
we
義
love
を愛しているというこ
democracy.
とです。そして三
And
つ
the
目は
third point
自由主
is
義民
that
主主義で
having
あ
a
る
free
がゆえ
economy
に
and
政府
democracy
の規模は
leads to
なるべく
preferring a
小さな
smaller
方がいい
government.
大きな政府より
It
も
means it's
小
better
さ
to
な
have a
政府
small
の方がいい
government
というこ
rather
と
than
で
a
す。
big government.
そしてこのコンサバティ
And
ズムの
a
非
very
常に大事な
important
観点、
viewpoint
日
in
本とアメリカ共通の
conservatism,
大事な観
which is
点
shared
なん
by
ですけれど
Japan
も、
and America,
自己責任
is
という点です。
self-responsibility.
自分の
I protect
家は
my
自分の
own
もの、
house.
自分の
We protect our
社会
own
も自分たちの
society.
もの、自分の
We
国も自
protect
分
our
たちの
own
もの、
country.
こういった観点が
These are
非
the
常に
sorts of
共
values
通
we
の価値
find
観
in
としてあります。
conservatism.
したがってそこから導き出される
And this
次の
brings us to the next pillar,
柱として
to
安全保
strengthen
障を強化して
national
いくこ
security.
ういう考え方も
This is
ある
one
わけ
way
です。
of thinking as well.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned national security because obviously the big question mark right now is China. And, the US is taking a very new approach to China compared to the past. And I wanted to know, what you think and how that's compatible with what you're doing with, or not, with in Japan.
これもとても大事な観点でして、
This is also a very
私
important
が
viewpoint.
このワシントン DC を中心に、保守主義の方、それから共和党
When I was
関係者
debating various topics with conservative people and relevant people, mainly in Washington, D.C., from 2011 to 2012, about 7 to 8 years ago, the threat of China was not debated so much in the US. However, the more enthusiastically I talk to people, the number of people with this view has gradually increased. CPAC started to address Asian issues and Chinese issues in Asia about 4 years ago. And the Trump administration has come to recognize China as a very big threat. They are a threat to America and Asia, and of course to Japan. This is the viewpoint.
So Jay, what about a JCPAC? Is this going to be a big topic at the upcoming JCPAC?
その通りです。
Yes, that's right.
JCPAC
In
においては
JCPAC, we will
中国
discuss
の
big
脅威として
regarding
安
the
全保
threat
障
from
上の問
China,
題、そして
like national
貿
security
易の問題、
issues,
経済の問題
trade
ですね。
issues,
さらには
economic
知的財産
issues,
の
and
侵害に関
intellectual
する問
property
題、
issues.
こうした大きなテーマが話し合われることになります。
I'm thinking about the China issue still. So, talking about the China issue, the perspective that the JCU and you are bringing to Japanese society, is that different from the government perspective or the societal perspective in general?
はい、これも大
This
事な
is
観点で
also
し
a
て、
very important viewpoint.
安全保障上の問
As for the
題について
national
は、
security
例え
issue,
ば
for
ご
example,
存知でしょうか、
I don't know if you're aware of this, but Okinawa, which is the most southern island, there is a conflict with China over territorial issues there. And in Hokkaido, which is the most northern island, more and more land is being bought up by China. So both Japanese citizens and the Japanese government are feeling a threat. However, regarding the economy, some civilians think that Japan cannot survive without the Chinese economy. The government too has two ways of seeing this. In terms of the economy, some think that we must be careful because China is dangerous, while others think that China is important to us. In terms of the economy, the views are split.
But Japan is also a competitor against China economically, wouldn't you say?
その通りです。はい。
That's right.
同時に相互依
At the
存関
same
係もあ
time,
る
there are interdependent relations.
だから微妙な関係です。
Therefore, it's a very subtle relationship.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So tell me a little bit about what has changed in the last 3 years with these conferences that you've been having in Japan and the growth of the conservative movement.
一番大きなところは
The biggest point is, although I'm repeating myself, is that in terms of national security, in the past, neither the Japanese media, Japanese government, or citizens regarded China as hostile or as a threat. But now, even the majority feels we must be careful of China. I believe this is perhaps a big achievement of our activities.
And can you give me a sense of the growth since the beginning, when you first started the JCU?
そうですね。JCPAC に参加してくださる方々の数、あとメディア
I
で
feel
取
a
り上
sense of
げ
growth in the
る
increasing
数の
number of
増
people
え方、
attending
こうしたものを見ま
JCPAC
すと、
and the increasing number of
手応え
media
としては感じてま
articles.
すね。毎年やるたんびに売買ゲームで参加者も
The
増えて
number
ま
of
すし、
attendees have
メディアの
doubled
取り上げ方
every
も非
year,
常に大きくなって
and
きてい
the
る
media
というのが
coverage
一つ
is getting bigger.
の数字の成果として言えるかと思い
You
ま
could
す。
say these are some tangible results.
The concept of conservatism, is that something that exists as a normal concept in Japanese thought? And if so, why did it take so long to start at JCU?
そうですね。
Right,
日本で
yes.
はアメリカと同じように
Like in
リベ
America,
ラル
in
な勢力
Japan,
も
the
また
liberal
非常に強いわ
influence
け
is
ですね。
very strong,
左側のどう
and
して
some
も
people can be
共産主義
swayed
的
by
な
this
考え方に
left-wing
駆られたりす
communist
る
type
力も
force.
あったりしますので、保守は保守でいろんな
As
小
for
さな団
conservative
体がバラ
movements,
バラに
various small
活動
groups
して
were
い
working
たり
separately,
しましたの
so
で、
it was
ただ一つ
necessary
やっ
to
ぱり
create
統合し
a
て
large
大きなアン
umbrella
ブレ
to
ラを
unite
作る必
these
要がありま
groups.
した。そのために JCU の存
I
在
think
という
the
のは
JCU
今
is
大きくな
getting
ってきている
bigger
ものだと
because
思
of
います。
this.
Tell me a little bit about, I heard there's going to be some distinguished people from America joining the JCPAC this year. Can you tell me a little more about that?
今年は時期が8月ということもありまし
As
て、
it will be held in
例年
August
だと
this year,
実は秋なん
not
で
in
す
the
けれど
fall.
も、この8月の時
I'm
期ですと、
thinking this year's feature will
上
be
院議員
that
下院議員の方々
politicians from both the
連邦議員の
Senate
方々が
and the
来れるという
Congress
ところ
can
が
join us.
大きな今年のトピックになると思っています。
What about the equivalent of Congress people in Japan? Are there a lot of those that come to the event as well?
その通りです。
That's right.
安倍政権から
Through
と
being in
やり取りを
contact
しな
with
がら
the Abe
次の
administration,
next leader
we will
ですね
invite the next leaders
を
from Japan and the
議員たち
US,
を日本から
and they
も
will discuss
アメ
various
リカからも
topics.
次のリーダーたちがさまざまなテーマについて話し合う。非常にそういった
It is a very attractive
今までなかったスタイル
political
の
event
お
which hasn't
魅力的な
existed
政治の方
before.
です。
Oh, fantastic. And so when will the agenda be ready, do you think?
もう今ほとんど準備中で、だんだんこれから発表で
Yes,
きる
it's
ものが
almost
増えてくる
ready,
と思います。
and I think
決ま
there
っ
will
てい
be
るところ
more
で言えば
topics on the agenda ready to be announced from now.
安全保障の
As for the
問題
topics
それから
decided,
メディアの
these
変更
are
の問題、そして
national security issues,
貿易戦
the
争の
media
問題、
bias
さら
issue,
には知的財産の問題、
the trade war, as well as intellectual property and crypto asset issues. These have already been decided.
Well, I have one big question. I know we have to wrap up shortly, but tell me a little bit about the challenges of fake news in Japan.
Very similar to America. For example, in America, there are various stories about President Trump portraying him as a ridiculous character. Likewise, for the long-lasting Abe administration, there are media reports such as Prime Minister Abe is totalitarian, Prime Minister Abe is dictator. There are fairly strong forces trying to pull him down by creating scandals and making up stories.
And what do you think, aside from national security and this kind of fake news issue, would be the most important issue that for the Japanese people, that you can share with them?
If there is something we can share, it's an important viewpoint, which I've not yet referred to. That is the issue of human rights. Currently, China is taking a very suppressive attitude against Uyghurs, Tibetans, and Mongolians. Only recently, police suddenly entered the Hong Kong parliament to stop them debating. They seal off freedom of speech. On top of that, as for Tibetans and Mongolians, they buy and sell human bodies and organs without any concerns. It is important to highlight these areas to ensure Japanese people won't be in the same situation. This is an issue we have to focus our actions on properly. Asian issues are also seen as painful issues for us Japanese people too.
Well, that's excellent to hear. So, any final words before we finish up, Jay?
Yes. What I would like to emphasize is that when I first joined JCU, it was just me, and in a way, a lonely activity for me. But I gained American conservative friends, and now we can work together. Just like family, just like friends, really like a team. I sincerely appreciate this. We would like to work together and do our best so that the strong tie between the US and Japan will lead to prosperity, not only in the US and Japan, but in Asia and the world.
Oh, that's a powerful place to end. Thank you very much, Jay. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.